Hello my dear students, what is electronegativity? Due to which even the electronegativity also decreases as we move down the group. They do not want to take an electron. This is also negatively charged. Coming electron also is negatively charged. The number of shell remains the same. There is no change. Variable valency, or they show different oxidation states. Group 1 you have lithium, group 2 you have beryllium. Hello my dear students, welcome back to the third session on the chapter Classification of Elements and Periodicity in Properties. Last class we had learnt about nomenclature of elements with atomic number greater than 100. Also we learnt about periodic trends in properties of elements. We learnt only few properties like atomic radii, ionic radii, etc. Some more properties are there, which we shall see in today's class. Okay. Electronegativity. What is electronegativity? Electronegativity is defined as the tendency of an atom in a molecule to attract towards itself the shared pair of electron. So what does this mean? For example, if I take HCl, okay, between them there is a covalent bond. Chlorine is more electronegative than hydrogen. What is the meaning? Now here hydrogen has given one electron, chlorine has given one electron for bonding. Chlorine atom has the capacity or has a tendency to pull the electron which is given by hydrogen slightly towards itself. So it will pull the electron cloud slightly towards itself, or the shared pair of electron towards itself. That is called as electronegativity. So chlorine is more electronegative than hydrogen, and because of this electronegativity here you get a partial negative charge, not complete negative charge. Slightly it is towards itself, that's why it's a partial negative charge for chlorine atom, and hydrogen will get partial positive charge. Okay, more about this in coming chapters you will be learning. So that is the meaning of electronegativity. Now what happens to the electronegativity as we move along the period? Along the period or across the period, electronegativity increases. Why exactly it increases? That is because of the atomic size. The atomic size along the period is going on decreasing, isn't it? It will reduce as we move along the period. So when it is towards the end, if you have to tell, or when the atomic size is very small, the electron, shared pair of electron will experience more effective nuclear charge, or it is slightly pulled towards itself because the nucleus is very closer because of the size of the atom, isn't it? Due to which the electronegativity goes on increasing along the period. So you can see the values here. Lithium is 1, beryllium 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5, 4. Okay. Similarly, sodium 0.9, magnesium 1.2, aluminium 1.5, silicon 1.8, 2.1, 2.5, 3. So as we move along the period, what is happening? Electronegativity is increasing. Okay. Next is down the group. So what happens down the group? Electronegativity decreases as we move down the group. Correct? So why it decreases? It is because of the atomic size. As we move down the group, the size of the atom is going on increasing. So the effective nuclear charge experienced by the electron or the outermost electron is going on reducing, isn't it? Because of the size, it is very big. So that is the reason it cannot pull the electron very effectively. Yes or no? Due to this, the electronegativity as we come down the group is going on decreasing. You can see here the effective nuclear charge decreases, due to which even the electronegativity also decreases as we move down the group. Values: lithium 1, sodium 0.9, potassium 0.8, rubidium it's almost the same, cesium it's 0.7. Similarly, here you can see fluorine is 4, chlorine 3, bromine 2.8, 2.5, 2.2. So electronegativity is usually measured using Pauling scale, and fluorine has the highest electronegativity, okay, and the value is 4. In the entire periodic table, the most electronegative atom is fluorine, which has the value 4. It is very important for you all to know this for 1 mark question, okay. That's about electronegativity. Next is about electron gain enthalpy. Now what is electron gain enthalpy? The word itself, electron gain. Enthalpy means energy. So when the electron is gained, what is the energy change? That is what we are going to learn here, okay. So it is defined as the enthalpy change, okay, accompanied when an electron is added to the neutral gaseous atom to convert it to a negative ion. So for example, fluorine atom takes up an electron to become fluoride ion. So there is some amount of energy which is released, or the enthalpy is minus 328 kilojoule per mole. That means when it took up that one electron, it has released some energy, or it is an exothermic reaction. What is it? It is exothermic reaction. So whenever an atom is gaining an electron or it is taking up an electron, the energy is released. So lesser the energy, more stable will be the ion, isn't it? That is the reason energy is released in attraction when an atom gains an electron. Therefore, electron gain enthalpy is given a negative sign. You can see here even chlorine, when it takes up an electron, you get a chloride ion, Cl minus. Here energy is again released. So it's an exothermic reaction. Sometimes even the value can be positive. When is it? When the electronic configuration is symmetrical. When an atom has got an symmetrical electronic configuration. That is, for example, if you take noble gases, they have got completely filled orbitals. They are following octet rule. They have already got 8 electrons in their valence shell. Also, they have completely filled p orbitals, isn't it? Due to which they do not want to take an electron. So they do not have an affinity at all towards the electron. So if they take up the electron, what will happen? They will lose their symmetry. So in such cases, there should be energy which should be supplied so that they will take up an electron. So that time what is happening? The value will become positive. Okay. So electron gain enthalpy will be positive, and you have to give extra energy so that they can take up an electron. Only when the atoms have symmetrical electronic configuration. Magnesium, if you see, to take up an electron, you have to supply 67 kilojoules per mole energy. Similarly, neon, it can take up an electron, it will require energy, not release. It will require some energy. So this is endothermic reactions. Okay, I hope you have understood about electron gain enthalpy. Electron gain enthalpy is also called as electron affinity. What is it? Electron affinity. Okay, here you can see the values of electron gain enthalpy. Hydrogen minus 78, it's all in kilojoules per mole. Okay, lithium minus 60, sodium is minus 53, potassium is minus 48, 47, 46. So as we come down the group, you can see it is slowly reducing and then it is almost the same. Okay. Similarly, if you see for halogens, you can see as we come down, it is going on reducing. Electron gain enthalpy is reducing. Okay. Similarly, here if you see in noble gases, you can see all are positive because they have a symmetrical electronic configuration. If they have to take up an electron, you have to supply energy. Okay, so that is what you can observe from these values. Also, one more thing, if you observe, I told you as we come down, what is happening in the group? The electron gain enthalpy is going on reducing, isn't it? The amount of energy released is reducing. But then you observe oxygen and fluorine, okay, and the next value also. Compared to sulfur, oxygen has got less electron gain enthalpy. Compared to chlorine, fluorine has got less electron gain enthalpy. Why is it so? That is because when an electron is added to oxygen or fluorine, the electron goes to the smaller N2 quantum level and suffers repulsion. Now what do you mean? For example, I'll take oxygen. I have 1s2, 2s2, 2p4 electronic configuration. Now if you want to add electron to this oxygen atom, it will go to the second shell, correct? It will go to the second shell. So here what happens, in the p orbital, if you see, you have 4 electrons already. So it is a second shell, you have the nucleus, first shell, second shell, very small atom. So when already 4 are present, 1, 2, 3, 4 are present, so you want to add one more over here, what will happen is they will experience repulsion, okay, because already there is an electron, here also you have 2 electrons, okay, very small atom, because of which this is also negatively charged, coming electron also is negatively charged, they will experience repulsion. So some amount of energy is required to overcome repulsion, okay, you have to overcome the repulsion and then it will take up the electron. That is the reason it is a slightly lesser than the succeeding element, okay, same case with fluorine as well. So I hope you have understood about this one exceptional case here. I already told you all, electron gain enthalpy can also be referred as electron affinity for elements. So it is the ability of the element to accept an electron added to the valence shell. So I hope you have understood about electron gain enthalpy. Now electron gain enthalpy, as we come down the group, it went on decreasing. As we move along the period, it will go on increasing. Okay, so I hope you have understood here. Here we shall revise all of the properties which we have already learnt. First one is electron shells in the periodic table. See, in this particular chart what you can see is, here whatever is written along the period, what happens is written this way, and whatever is written below, it is what is happening down the group when we are coming in the periodic table. So first we have the electron shells. So as we move along the period, what happens? The number of shell remains the same, there is no change. For the same shell, the electrons are going on adding as we move along the period. But as we come down the group, electron shell increases one by one, correct? Next, what is it? Valence electron. Valence electron, more detailed I shall explain next. It increases one by one and here it remains the same. So down the group it will remain the same, along the period it will increase one by one. More about it we'll see in the following slides, okay. Next is electronegativity. Electronegativity, just now I have explained. What happens along the period? It will increase. What happens down the group? It will decrease. Okay. Next we have ionization energy or ionization enthalpy. As we move along the period, what is happening? It will increase. Why? Because the atomic size is decreasing. So ionization enthalpy will increase and also down the group it will decrease. Okay. Similarly, electron affinity. Electron affinity increases as we move along the period and decreases as we move down the group. Coming to metallic and non-metallic character. Here metallic character decreases as we move along the period, but non-metallic character decreases as we move down the group. So along the period what is decreasing? Metallic character. Down the group what is decreasing? Non-metallic character. Okay. Next we have about non-metallic character. Non-metallic character, as we move along the period, increases, whereas metallic character will increase as we move down the group. Okay. So that is about what are the different properties you have learnt. There is one more way of just remembering it. See, atomic size or atomic radius also I can tell. What happens along the period? Along the period it is reducing, down the group it increases. Okay. Similarly, you can write for all of this. Next what you are learning, it's about ionization enthalpy. Ionization enthalpy along the period it is increasing, down the group it is decreasing. Not only ionization enthalpy, if you see electronegativity, electron affinity also is increasing. So I can write this one for ionization enthalpy, electronegativity and electron affinity as well. So you can remember it like this also. If this you find it is, oh this is so big chart, how do I remember this? It is difficult for me. You can write it in simple way like this and you can remember it, because it's very important for your competitive exams, as well as 1 mark question can be asked and they'll ask you to reason out why exactly it is increasing along the period or decreasing along the period, and increasing or decreasing down the group. You need to reason out as well. Okay, so that's the reason I have put this, so it's quite easy for you all to revise or remember. Okay, next what do we have? Periodic trends in chemical properties. Okay, till now we learnt about the physical properties. Now we are going to learn about the chemical properties. First one is valency. The valency of representative elements is generally equal to either the number of electrons in the valence shell or equal to 8 minus the number of valence electrons. So what do you mean by valency? For representative elements means it is which is present in S and P block. Okay, so those elements which is there in S and P block, we call them as representative elements. So for representative elements, how many electrons are present in the valence shell? That is the valency. Okay, or the other way to tell it is 8 minus the number of valence electrons, you will get the valency. Here you can see the group number 1, 2, then it is 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, that is this is S block and these are the P block elements. Okay. Number of valence electrons, it is going on increasing along the period. So you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Or valency or oxidation state. Nowadays they use the word oxidation state also for valency. Okay. So here it is 1. Here also it is the same. 3 and 4. Here why 5 or 8? 5 number of electrons in the valence shell is 5. Okay. But 3 electrons because 8 minus 5 is equal to 3. So the valency can also be called as 3. Okay, that is when the formation of molecules, the valency can be 3 or it can be 5. Okay, depending on what type of bond it is forming. Similarly, if it is 6, it can be even 2 because 8 minus 6 is equal to 2. Okay, similarly it can be 7 or 1, 8 or 0. Okay, so that's about the valency of the elements. Now you see valency, I also told you it can be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now why am I not talking about the valency of these D block elements? Because they all have 2 valence electrons. The transition metals have how many valence electron? 2 valence electron, but they have some unique properties due to the orbital subshell that is very close to one another. They show variable valency or they show different oxidation states. Okay, so that is the reason we are not talking about the D block elements at all. Clear? Next is about oxidation state. Now oxidation state is the number of electron lost or gained to convert an atom to its ion. So whether the atom has a tendency to lose electrons or gain electrons. If it loses electron, it becomes positively charged. If it gains electron, it will become negatively charged. So the number of electrons which it can lose or it can gain, that is called as the oxidation number. An elementary state oxidation number of an atom is 0 if it is present in the elementary state. For example, for oxygen gas, the oxidation state is 0, hydrogen 0, sulfur 0. Elemental state, if you are writing it, the oxidation number is 0. Okay. In monoatomic ions, the charge represents the oxidation number. So for sodium, I put Na plus, I put +1 charge. So the oxidation number is +1. Okay. Similarly, if I write F minus, fluoride ion, here it is -1. So aluminium is +3 state. So the oxidation number is +3. Chlorine is -1 charge. So the oxidation number is -1. Okay. Similarly, I can tell the oxidation number of the other elements. There is a different method of calculation of oxidation number also, which you will be learning in your chapter redox reaction. Okay. Next is, what is a trend which you can see here in the periodic table. Group 1 elements have the oxidation number +1, that is they like to give 1 electron. If they give 1 electron, they will get the noble gas configuration, that is the reason. Here they like to give 2 electrons. Okay. Here they can give 3 electrons. Here they can give or take 4 electrons. Here again -3, here -2, -1. Why -3? They can accept 3 electrons. See, it is better than giving 5 electrons. Okay. It is easier to accept 3 electrons and get octet. So they can accept electrons. So it is -3, -2 and -1. These are the common oxidation state which they can show. The elements of that particular group can show. Similarly, lanthanoids have the common oxidation state of +3. Actinoids can show +3 or +4 oxidation state. Here again for D block elements, I am not writing the oxidation state because they will show variable oxidation state. Manganese can show from +2 to +7. So many different oxidation state it can show. Why exactly? More detailed about the D block elements you will be learning in your second year. Okay. Next is anomalous properties of second period element. So our second period, they have got some anomalous properties. Okay. What are those? That is, the first element of S and P block show different characteristics compared to the rest of the elements in the same group. Okay. Example, lithium and beryllium show covalent nature, whereas rest of the S block elements are predominantly ionic. So if you take first 2 groups, okay, group 1 and group 2, what is the first element you have? You have lithium and beryllium. Group 1 you have lithium, group 2 you have beryllium. So if you see there, only those 2 elements are forming covalent bonds. Rest all the elements below them, they are showing ionic character. So always the period, second period means it is the first element of the every group of S and P block elements. Okay. They always have some extra or a different characteristic. That's why we call them as anomalous properties. Okay. Why exactly they show that? It is because the small atomic size of the first element, they are very small. As we go down the group, atomic size is going on increasing, isn't it? It will go on increasing as we go down the group. So the first element is very small. That is one of the reasons for anomalous property. Also, large charge by size ratio. They have a large charge. What is the charge they carry and what is the size they have? This ratio is large. That is why they show some of the anomalous properties, or I can tell that is basically because they show covalent nature than that of the ionic nature. More about this charge by size ratio again in detail you have in your chemical bonding chapter. Okay. Next is about diagonal relationship. So what is diagonal relationship? Some elements of the second period, okay, show similarities in the properties properties with the elements of the third period placed diagonally. Okay, that is referred as diagonal relationship. For example, you have lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, so on. Okay, you have nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine and neon in the second period. So in the third period you have sodium, magnesium, aluminum, silicon and so on. Okay, you have phosphorus, sulfur, all those things. So here the element of the second period, this is second period. Okay, this is my third period. The elements of the second period are related to the elements of the third period, which is placed diagonally. That's why we call them as diagonal relationship. So lithium and magnesium show so many properties which are similar. Okay, so they are diagonally related. Similarly, beryllium with aluminium, it is diagonally related. Boron with silicon, it is again diagonally related. More about their properties you will be learning in your respective chapters, like S block elements you have one chapter, P block elements you have one chapter. In that chapter you will be learning about the properties which are similar also. Okay, so more detailed about diagonal relationship we'll see in that respective chapter. Okay. So what are the periodic trends in chemical reactivity? That is, if you observe the periodic table, okay, you have, this is my group 1, okay, then I have group 2, then I have 10 groups here, then I have 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Okay, here I am not showing the D block elements at all. So if I take group 1, they have got lowest ionization enthalpy. That means they can lose electrons very easily, or the electrons can be removed very easily. Whereas if you take group 17, here you have one more 18, okay, I am not taking 18. Group 17 if I take, they have highest electron gain enthalpy. Okay. If you see both the extremes, these can lose the electrons very easily, these will accept the electrons very easily. That's why the chemical reactivity at the two extremes of the periodic table is highest. Two extremes, the chemical reactivity is highest, but in the center it is the lowest. So is it clear? So that is about the periodic trend in chemical reactivity. Okay. Next one is about oxides. Okay. First we have nature of oxides. The oxides of elements at extreme left are most basic. So the left side we have basic, and the oxides of the element at the right are found to be most acidic. So here there are acidic. So in the periodic table if you take, which you have to the left hand side, that is group 1, group 2 elements and all, they are highly basic oxides, whereas which is there in the end towards the right, that is after group 16, what you can find, group 16, group 17, they are very acidic. Okay. In between what is present, they are amphoteric. What is it? They are amphoteric. Amphoteric means they can show both acidic as well as basic character. So more about that we will see here. For example, Na2O, when it is mixed with water you will get NaOH, so it is basic. Okay. Cl2O7, when it is mixed with water or reacts with water you will get an acid. Okay. Similarly, what do you mean by amphoteric? Now aluminum oxide is amphoteric because it will react with HCl, it will react with NaOH also. So when aluminum oxide reacts with HCl, it will form aluminum chloride. When it reacts with sodium hydroxide, it will form this complex. So amphoteric means they can react with both acid as well as a base. So in the periodic table if you see, the extreme left you have bases or basic oxides. On the right side you have acidic oxide. In between if you see, you have amphoteric oxides. Okay. So that is about the nature of oxides and their periodic trend. Okay. Coming class, we will be learning about chemical bonding and molecular structure. So I hope you have understood today's class. Thank you my dear students. Stay tuned, stay focused.